Shall we start?
Sure, let's go for it. I'm excited. It's got to be good after this, right? After all the technology issues.
Yeah, it's just the cue. Like everything's gonna be perfect.
Yes,
So
exactly. I totally agree with that. So,
yeah, so hi Lisa. My name is Nicolette. I am the creator for the podcast titled You're Worthless. Read that
hmm
again. Juxtaposition of your very soul. So first off, I'd like to say thank you very much for saying yes to be interviewed on my show. And I'm actually very excited when I read your profile. I think because the essence of my podcast talks a lot about self-worthiness. So that's like more the spiritual side of things, but I also want to keep things uh, on the 3D plane since we're still here, and
yeah,
one of it is financial management, right? So
yeah.
that's a big
And
part.
it's a lot actually about worthiness too. I totally, it goes along with, I listen to your podcast. It goes right along with what you
Oh,
talk about. It's what I do.
oh,
So,
thank you so
yeah, of
much.
course. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna read an introduction about yourself to our listeners, and then we're
Okay,
gonna
cool.
dive deep into your story.
Sounds
Okay,
good. I'm good with
right.
that. Let's go.
So everybody, we have Lisa Sakai here. She has tried several careers in Hollywood, and then she went to education, insurance, and finally she found her calling, providing financial advice and planning for female professionals and their families. So she focuses on bucket list planning and guiding her clients to leverage their dollars to live the lifestyle they live now. So, so she has the heart of a servant and the mind of a teacher. She's always available to help us all when you need her most, especially when you think you don't need her. And maybe that's something for me. Um, she was a past president of the Mission Viejo Chamber of Commerce,
hmm
an
Yeah.
avid theater goer. She also enjoys trail running, cooking, reading, traveling, food, kickboxing, and spin classes. So, and at the
Yeah.
moment, she's reteaching herself to play the piano.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not taking the time. See, I'm not saying that I'm worthy enough to take the time to play very often, but I'm really trying.
No, that's good. That's good. Like at least that's an instrument, right? Okay,
Yeah.
so Lisa, so tell us, I love to start my podcast with the question, what was it like growing as Lisa?
Yeah. So it was I can't complain about my childhood. I grew up in Los Angeles, California, so it was, great weather and I had very wonderful parents who supported me and a family that loved me and so I can't really complain. I was a dreamer growing up. I thought I was going to work in Hollywood and I love old movies. I still do. I still watch a ton of old movies and stuff. And so life was good. And the funny thing was though, I was always kind of dissatisfied a little bit in terms of where I lived and the environment. So I actually went to Ohio, which for everybody in, the US knows it's very cold there. It's a California girl moving
Oh.
to Ohio is very strange and extreme and I loved it because I didn't have to shovel the snow, but I got to experience everything. And so it was just wonderful. And then I went back to Hollywood and started working and that kind of thing and just realized, one morning I was getting my boss's car washed for the fourth time that week and he was a wonderful man. Like I didn't have any issues with him, but he liked to clean car. And I remember thinking,
Okay.
I work really hard and is this all I'm going to be doing is helping Hollywood people make more money? Or am I going to use my talents for something bigger to help people? And at that moment, I decided to change my career path of something that I've been dreaming of since I was, 5. And so, therefore, I kind of started moving into teaching, got a little burnt out of the politics that happen in education in the US and moved into insurance and financial planning. And that's kind of where I landed about 13 years ago. And I haven't looked back because I'm still doing what my initial mission is, which is to help as many people as possible.
right, you mentioned about Hollywood, and when I read your profile, I
Yeah.
really am interested as well because
Yeah.
Los Angeles, right? So can
Yep.
you share with us like what were the careers that you tried in Hollywood? Seems like you had a few.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. So I started in a very small little Latino agency for talent for actors. And so
Right.
essentially we've got, there were a bunch of different actors that came through, one of whom was just the star of Flaming Hot that's on that's on Hulu. I loved working with Jesse. He's great. Yeah, he's
No.
great. He was great. I just love him to death, and he's a great actor. I'm so excited for him. So we did that for a little bit, and then I moved into a bigger agency called the Gersh Agency, and did assisting for David Gersh, who was one of the heads of the studio, and did a great job, doing that. And so I was there for about a year, and I just started thinking I want to get more involved with the creativity part of it. So I moved into production, and
Mm, mm.
so I jumped around to quite a different couple places, and ended up at the production house of like Grey's Anatomy and things like that. And so that was my boss, and he was very nice. I had no issue with him, but like I said, that's when I kind of just decided, is this where I want to put my talents? It's not. It's funny. It's Hollywood is not as glitz and glamour as
Glamorous as they made it.
we all think it is.
Really.
Although I do have to
Oh
say the
yeah.
actors
Oh
are just wonderful to
well.
be around. I've never met an actor I actually didn't like. They were just always very amazing people. So
Wow. Yeah, I mean, like you were saying, Hollywood is not really as all sunshine or paradise like
yeah,
the TV,
exactly.
the media portray it to be.
Yeah,
Especially the eastern side, like the Asians where we come from, we it tends to be glorified, right? So
yeah, exactly.
so yeah, this is actually not one of my questions, but this is just me being curious.
Sure.
So what is it like in Hollywood? Like what's the reality and what's the
Hmm.
expectation and versus the reality side of it?
Yeah. It's interesting, especially on the acting talent agency side of things. It's very interesting the way it's done because it's really about, when I was in the small agency, it was just kind of trying to get our actors some jobs. You'd call, you'd pitch your actors, things like that. And it was about relationships, right? Relationships with
Connection.
casting, yeah, connections, casting directors, that kind of thing, having faith in your actors. But the funny thing is it's always about whether you're at the small agency or you're a much bigger agency like Gersh, it really was about who you discovered. And if you discovered a talent that took off, then you
Hmm.
could make it. And if you didn't, you
Ooh,
were kind of stuck a bit. And so it was very competitive. This is my client, that's your client, like it just was a very competitive world, that a lot more competitive than I think people think it is.
yeah.
But at the same time, it was a lot of creative people, so there was some craziness that happens, and other things, and it's got its boring side, paperwork, and it's all that stuff that is not glitz and glamour. But I would say the part that was probably the most glitz and glamour was, you go out and go to parties and clubs and stuff like that with other people in your industry to just try to make more connections, right? That was the point.
Network.
So that was fun, but I mean, that was fun as a 22-year-old. I don't know as a 42-year-old now if I'd want to do that,
Go
but
back.
um but yeah, it was like I can never say anything bad about the industry. It is what it is. It's very corporate compared to what I think people think. It
Oh,
runs very similar to like a corporate office, like maybe, Coca-Cola or something like that. It's
right.
very corporate still.
Very very like
Yeah. Now that was
yeah.
my experience from 20 years ago. It could be very different with
Different
technology. I mean,
now.
we barely had the internet stuff. I mean, we'd only had it for like 5 or 6 years. There was no iPhones. There was no, like, so it could be a very different world now than when it was 20 years ago.
I guess when I think about it, right, like again, people always think that grass is always greener on the other side. It's like, yeah, when you think like when you're doing a 9 to 5, say
Yeah.
in a company, and then you said, oh, and they look at the TV, it's like, oh, look at all those singers, actresses, like they must be living their life, but I mean they don't know, the things that they go through to get to where they are. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah,
Yeah.
the industry that they're in, and yeah, I guess I this thing always it stuck with me. The grass is greener where you water it. So I try to be positive, but
Exactly.
by that. But of course, at times I find myself, oh, succumbing to that spiraling thoughts of, oh, what am I
Yeah.
doing? But yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
it's
trying to
funny. Yeah, I
interview
totally agree.
people, as many as I can, so that I can actually hear their side of the story and, like, have these
Yeah.
conversations reflect back to me and like, oh yeah,
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. I mean, part of the reason I left was, I wanted to make a difference, but B, I was thinking about my life and I was interviewing for a big producer, very, very big producer. And they said, are you willing to jump on a plane to China with him at 3 o'clock in the morning without any notice? I'm like, no, I'm not. And I couldn't believe I said that, but they're workaholics. I mean, they're constantly going that you have to in that world or you're going to lose ground, you're going to lose footing.
yeah,
And it's funny. I don't think we see like Beyonce up there doing her thing, and we don't realize how much work and how much time and how much. I mean, she is a workaholic, and so is Taylor
yeah,
Swift, and so is
yeah,
they're always concerned about their career and who's going to come up next, and so they just have to work harder than anybody. And I was not willing to do that. I wanted some work-life balance. I can't, like this week in particular has been very, very busy and I need downtime. Like I
yeah,
can't wait for this weekend
true,
so I can like sleep and read and, drink tea. Like I just don't want to do anything.
yeah,
And I don't know if I could have outwork everybody
yeah,
because I feel like I become a better version of myself during that downtime, you know?
mm, yeah, that is so true.
Yeah.
Right. So, how did you start your company? One Vision Retirement. I
One
see it
Vision.
in your bio.
Yeah. Yes, that's us. So we've been in existence for almost 3 years. I've been in the industry for 13. So I started in a much smaller agency. Um and or not much smaller. I'm sorry. I didn't mean that. We're smaller now. But the we started as a small agency and we worked in insurance mainly at the beginning and then started to move into financial planning, investment management, that kind of thing a little bit later on. And I started mainly because I was tired of teaching. I'd been teaching elementary school,
Oh yeah, you're a
between kind
teacher
of
as
like
well. Mm,
2008 to 2010.
mm,
I had really been pushed into that world, or actually probably 2006 to 2010. And I just was tired of the politics that happened. And I don't mean politics like Republican Democrats. I mean, just it's corporate.
like
And that's what people,
backstabbing and
yeah,
okay.
people don't realize how corporate that world is. And I couldn't teach the kids the way I wanted to. And it was all about workbooks and boring stories that I didn't think was going to inspire anybody to do better work. And I just was tired of the whole thing. So I got on monster.com, which I don't even know if it exists anymore, but
It does, it does. We have it
does
in
it?
Malaysia.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And I got on there and started looking, and they like teachers in the financial industry because we can explain things in a much easier way
Yeah.
than people who have a really strict financial background. It's really hard for them to relate. And so
Simplify. Yeah.
yeah, so I started and I interviewed all over the place and found the home that I was at for 10 years. And then moved
Wow.
into that world, and it was hard. It was very difficult because I didn't have any financial background. I talk about, am I worthy? I didn't know anything. I didn't really understand investing. I didn't know anything about life insurance. I didn't know about anything, but I just decided to become a sponge and keep trying to learn and keep trying to talk to people. And the funny thing is that when you realize that you actually know more than your person sitting across from you, that's when you realize, oh, I can actually help them
Yeah.
versus, I don't know enough compared to this guy that's been in the industry for 25 years. I probably still don't know as much as a guy that's been in the industry for 25 years, but I know what I'm good at and I know who I'm good at helping. And I know where I'm stronger than that guy is. So it's was a very long journey of trying to figure out like all the ways that financial planning works and all the tricks and trades and all stuff and how investments work and all that stuff, but also getting the confidence to say, look, and I know I can help people and just getting out there and trying to help as many people as possible.
Again, curiosity kicks in.
Yeah.
How is the insurance industry in the US?
It's it's there's a sigh. I mean, I still do insurance. I'm going to be completely, you look me up, I have an insurance license. But it can definitely be it's very behind in the times. It just kind of came up in the world. We were still up until 2020 doing paper applications and stuff, like
Okay.
they barely were getting online. And then 2020 really made them kick into gear because we couldn't meet anybody. So if they wanted sales to be down, then, figure it out. So they really have sprung forward. But I think the problem with insurance sales as a whole, well, I wouldn't say I'm going to talk about the lines that I did because when it comes to home and auto and that kind of stuff, that's not an area I know about. So I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about life insurance, disability, annuities, the things that kind of go along with financial planning. Um, there's some really good people out there, and there are some people that are there to make a lot of money. And you
Mm,
kind of have to find who are the people that are there to make money and who are the ones that are there to take care of you. You can make a lot of money selling policies, just kind of
right,
using clients like the next one, next one, next one kind of thing. And that's why I didn't do well on the pure insurance side because I didn't do well talking to people about insurance when it wasn't connected to a bigger picture, when I
right.
didn't really
But
know the
it
whole
doesn't actually
story.
secure their
Yeah.
financial I don't know, freedom or
Yeah,
planning in
exactly.
the long run.
Yeah,
It's more like
exactly.
you filling in your pocket and
Yeah, and that's the
so
thing.
it is
So
this
there's,
it is all it is
oh, is
similar
it similar?
across.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
So,
okay,
there's
right.
their good apples and bad apples. I mean, I name a ton of great insurance advisors, but I can also name a ton more that aren't. So it's just like, and I hate to say it, but there's like that in every industry, right? Like the financial industry. I would love to think that everybody's in it to help people, but you can make a lot of money doing what I do for a living. So, is everybody pure heart? I don't know for sure.
Yeah. We
Yeah.
just gotta know who we wanna
Hmm.
which side do we wanna be on.
Exactly. Who do you trust?
Yeah.
Who is that person that you trust and and there's a lot of skepticism in our industry just because bad things have happened to people. I just had a lady yesterday telling me about a horrible experience she had with a financial
With an
planner and
advisor or
investment.
with somebody that happened in her life that
Oh no,
couldn't
with an
that she couldn't.
advisor.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, she
Uh,
had some really bad guidance from an advisor
right.
and
Like, mhm.
so it happens.
Sorry, I'm gonna go through
Oh,
good, but yeah, yeah, because I was talking to somebody as well, somebody important, and he was like, is this? It's like it's always he would people would all I don't want to generalize, but the way he's approaching things is that it's always you're guilty until you're proven innocent. Like
mm-hmm.
it's always
That
like
is true.
there's always friction first, and if you manage to get past this, and then okay,
Yeah.
you're on my other you can come be on my other side. Okay, I trust you. So I mean,
Yeah.
isn't that tiring?
Yeah.
I'm
It is
just
tiring. Yeah. It is.
just tired
I
of this
agree
this
with you.
whole thing. Like, why is everybody like? Why can't they just get along for once? Like,
Yeah.
sorry, this is me thinking out loud.
No, I totally get it. Yeah, I totally. Well, it's kind of funny. So I was just talking to a client yesterday, and I've had her as a client for probably, I don't know, couple 6 or 7 years. And she really put me through the ringer when we first met. Really did. I mean, but it's, in the long run, she's happy. We're doing well together. I'm helping her hit goals. We've gone through some tough times, and the thing is that she just but she was unsure. She's like, well, why do I need you? And I think that's the biggest thing that I hit more than anything is people think, well, I can do this on my own. So why do I
Why
need
would I
you?
need you?
Because
What's
you
your
have the
value to me?
internet. Yeah,
Yeah.
you have the internet, you have all this stuff. But I can tell you the internet and doing some searches and listening to some podcasts, it doesn't help you with your situation. That's the
Because it's a
problem.
case to case
Yeah.
basis. Yeah.
Exactly. And so if you don't know what you don't know, and I can look at your situation and say, here's a big
Mm,
gap that you might want to look at. That's the other thing. Also, I think this is now I'm going to go on a tangent. I think there's
yeah,
problems
yeah.
in our industry for sure,
Ooh,
because
yes.
to me, this industry is based off of like have a goal of retirement. I mean, our company is called retirement, right? Have a goal of retirement. How much do I need? Then I go to that. And it's very systematic. Like I need this amount by this time so I can retire and then this is the way I'm going to take it out and this is how I'm going to live my life. And there's no passion in there. Like I don't know what they're doing.
Mm,
Like they're not living their life now. They feel like they can't. So we're getting a big pushback right now, especially with the X and
right.
Y and probably Z generations of
Right.
like I'm not going to just work till age 65 and
Yeah,
and
exactly.
retire,
And
and
not live
not
my
do
life.
anything.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
want to live
Like I
my
want to
life. Like
travel. I wanna buy
exactly.
nice things for myself. I mean I worked so hard for this. Like that's so true because
Exactly.
I'm a
Exactly.
millennial, so
Oh no, totally. I
I
mean, like I'm
juggle
right between
about this.
X and Y. Yeah. No, I totally
Like,
get it. And that's why I kind of came up with bucket list planning because, as we get older,
perfect.
that
Yeah.
X, Y, Z generation is going, I'm not waiting to retirement. And all these other guys are just talking about getting to retirement. Retirement's your goal. How do you put away money for retirement? How about we talk
Yeah.
about how you optimize your money now so you can start
Mm,
doing what you want and continue to do that throughout your life, whether you retire or you don't retire? Because you hit it
mm,
on the head a couple of minutes ago. Financial
mm-hmm.
freedom and financial independence is what people want when they think of retirement.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
it. And that can
Yes.
come in lots of different forms. It can come as stopping work and retiring. It can come as I know that I have enough money to do what I want, when I
Mhm.
want, and not have to worry about anything. And so I'm going to go back to school, or I'm going to
Yeah.
start a whole new career, or I'm going to start
Yeah.
a business, or whatever that is, whatever that next step is for you. And that's what I think this industry is missing is that we're still talking about retirement planning when it's not really retirement for these new generations. It's the next phase of life that I can do what I want to do, which is financial independence and freedom.
Oh, that is so true. Which brings me
Yeah,
to my next question, Lisa.
sure.
What is bucket list planning?
Yeah, so that's exactly what I started because I was like, how do we get these younger generations to buy into this, right?
Yeah.
Because there's so many younger generation that won't work with
Ooh.
advisors because of
Okay.
can you hear me? Okay, good. That can, basically, they feel like, this doesn't fit for them, so they don't work with an advisor. And I thought, how do we get them to learn how to use their money better, how to control it so that they get to do what they want to do? And
Mm-hmm.
so bucket list planning came to mind because I was listening to a podcast of another advisor who brings his clients on things that are on his bucket list. And he starts talking about bucket lists with them. But I term the coin bucket list planning because he doesn't do that. But basically the idea is that how do you set a goal? So everybody should have some kind of short-term goal and it should be pleasurable. So it shouldn't just be like, I want to
Three to
retire in
five
five
years?
years. Yeah, I would say less than
Okay.
that. If you can do two
Ooh,
years or a year, that would be great
right.
too. But I want it to be something that's like indulgent, like I want it to be
Mm,
like a new car that you've always wanted or a piece of jewelry that you've wanted that's a couple $1,000 or a trip for something that's really going to keep you motivated, right? That thing that's going to keep you going, I need to enjoy my life more. I need to do. And for some people, it's very small. Like I have a client who she just wants to get a massage every month. That is her
Oh,
thing. And so she
yeah.
makes sure that she has that money set aside for a massage and maybe, go out to a nice dinner or something like that. She doesn't want anything big. But it's about, I was on another podcast and the lady said, I've done my stuff. I want to just like sit outside and have a glass of wine, or I think she said
Wine,
a
yeah.
beer, have a beer and just grill. That's what she wants to
Right.
do. And that's totally fine. It's my birthday this weekend and I don't want to do anything. I just want to relax. So people are going to be different when it comes to their stuff. And we just have to find those moments to enjoy in between. And so bucket list planning is really starting to put together a why, and if you go all the way through to retirement and never have experienced traveling or buying an automobile that you want, or dressing the way you want or whatever, and you think that's all going to happen in retirement, then you get to retirement and you go, I don't I don't know what I want. Who am I
Yeah.
without my job? Who am I without having to
Oh,
do family
yes.
obligations? And
Yes.
so bucket list planning is for you to try life. And maybe you've always wanted to go to Fiji and you go to Fiji and
Mm.
you go, eh, I don't
Nah.
really want to do this again. Like I'm
Yeah.
kind of good. I mean, I imagine Fiji's amazing, but
Yeah.
whatever their bucket list thing is, I want them to try some of this stuff before they before they retire or get to that financial independence part, because they don't know who they are otherwise. And we're having a huge problem in the elder category of people not knowing who they are in
What?
retirement, and they're getting very depressed. They
Ooh,
just they don't know how to fill their day anymore. And it can
right.
become a problem.
Ooh, well, that's dangerous.
Yeah, it is. It's really
You have
serious.
the you have the younger generation who's depressed.
Hmm.
They have some how do you say this, issues surrounding mental health, and you have
Hmm.
the other side, the elder generation, who has that because once they get to retirement stage, they don't actually know who they are and what they're going to do
Yeah.
with that. It's like they've always attached their identity to maybe something that they've always done, work, and then
Yeah.
suddenly they're out of it. Okay, so what now? Yeah.
Exactly. That's exactly it. And I think because the younger generations are rebelling against that, like they're seeing that kind of
Oh,
happen,
yeah,
they're
yeah,
like,
yeah.
I'm not going to wait. I'm not going to wait. And
Right,
what's
right.
happening is that they're spending like crazy people now. I mean, they're just kind of
Frivolously. Like they just
uncontrolled.
don't
Yeah.
care. Like, oh my God, I'm
Uncontrollable
going
spending.
to Hawaii next week.
Yeah.
I don't care. I'm having this trauma.
Yeah.
I don't know, broke up with
You
my
know,
boyfriend or girlfriend, and
yeah.
I'm I'm trauma traveling.
YOLO, right? You only
YOLO,
live
yeah.
once. That's what
I mean,
everybody's like.
I've
Oh, I'm going to
been there,
YOLO.
done
I'm
that.
not going to be that person. Yeah, exactly. And that's fine. I mean, I don't have a problem with that. But the problem is that are you truly controlling your finances? No, because you're
Mm.
actually limiting the amount of choices you have. Like maybe you do a YOLO and you go to Hawaii, right? And then in a month later, there's another opportunity to go on like some African safari that you really want. I
Mm.
mean, Hawaii was nice, but that was really what you wanted to do. And now, do you have the
It's
funds to
not
do that? You probably don't.
exactly.
Or you're going to put yourself in so much debt that you're not going to be able to do anything again for another couple of years. Let's
Yeah.
control it and have controlled things that we're trying to do. And then you can have the strength to tell, your girlfriend who wants to go out to happy hour for like the fifth time this week, I'm good. I don't really need to spend that kind of money. Let's go on a walk because I've got something I'm saving for that's really important to me. And it's my African safari trip, or my, if Hawaii is yours, or to go visit LA or whatever it is. That's the true essence of controlling your money, because you have a bigger why and you can say no to all the things that are holding you back, essentially.
And then I think the root of it as well is being able to regulate your emotions when you're in
Yeah.
it.
Hmm. It's
Oh, that
hard. That's
to me,
difficult. Money is
that
very
is the
emotional. Yeah.
woo.
Money is extremely emotional. It can bring out
Yeah.
the best and the worst in people like
Oh,
that.
yeah.
I
It's
mean, it
gonna
really
make or
can.
break you. Yeah,
It
exactly.
can. And it brings out insecurity like no other thing
Oh my
can.
gosh,
Like
yes, yes,
it's
yes,
unbelievable. Yeah, it's
yes.
crazy. Well,
I
I'll
just
tell you
I
my
just
story.
experienced this
Yeah.
today. I
Oh,
wanted to
did
tell you,
you? What did
or
you
you, yeah,
experience?
no, no, no. It's like it was just few days ago. So it was like I was, I think, like, I'm just gonna say in like third party point of view, like a friend, like, so they've been together for a while, but I think it's like the guy has been having certain financial some constraints, so it's like it's super. So I don't know if it's like ego as well, like you don't really want to say this out to the person that you're just dating, and then it kind of stays in limbo because nobody actually wants to start talking about it. And like you said, it can, insecurities can creep up, especially if these things are not communicated, and if the girl or whichever is actually earning quite well, she's quite
Oh,
stable and
yeah.
whatnot. So that that's a it's a
It
tough
does.
water to navigate, but I think it's very important for it to be spelled out. I think early during, if they're just started dating. I mean, this is,
It
yeah,
is. Yeah, it's very
yeah.
difficult. I mean, my story is that when I got married, so quite a long time ago, it was before this industry, so I was still teaching. My husband knew a lot more about finance than I did. It's funny, I grew up in, LA, posh schools, all that stuff. And I didn't really know anything about finance, mainly because nobody really wanted to teach me about it. Women don't really want to do finance. All the women in my family were not involved with their financial lives. They have no idea how it worked. So it
Really?
was kind of
What were
assumed
you
that I
what were
was
you
going to
guys
be like
doing?
that too. Yeah, I know. And my mom still doesn't want it. She's like, you do it after your dad's gone. I'm like, okay, that's fine. So it's fine. Um, but it was just kind of assumed that I wouldn't know anything. So I knew the basics, you spend less than you earn, and interest
Yeah,
rates are in how
control
student loans
your,
work,
yeah,
and stuff like that. But
expenses.
my husband made a comment about wanting to basically invest money into, or maybe invest or make changes to our money so it could get a better interest rate. And to me, interest rates at that point was only associated to loans. So I was like, what is
Right.
he talking about? Like, I don't understand what he's talking about. And instead of just saying to him, honey, I don't understand what that means. Can you explain it? I was so embarrassed. I was like, just leave it. Just leave it where it is. Like, and was that a
Mm,
decision made out of strength and education? No, it was made out of fear, right? I was
yeah.
afraid of a couple things. I was afraid that I didn't understand it and I wouldn't understand it when he explained it. And I was afraid of how stupid I was going to look telling him I
Look,
didn't understand what
yeah.
he was talking about. This is my
Mm,
husband. I mean, like, and we had
yeah.
just gotten married. This is the honeymoon stage, right? I mean, I should be willing to tell him that stuff. And I couldn't get myself over the fear. And that could have been a bad mistake. I mean, overall, it was kind of probably minor, but it could have been a bad mistake. And how many times are we making decisions because we're so afraid of either our ego being damaged or
Mm-hmm.
making a mistake because we don't understand something, or saying to yourself, I'm stupid, I'm not good with math, or I'm not good with money. That's why I work a lot with women, because women, I hate to say it, when they come on the calls with me, I work virtually across the US, and when they come on the calls with me, they're usually like, I'm a mess when it comes to my finances. That's how they
Wow.
start. And I just go,
Ooh,
don't
okay.
don't categorize yourself as
Yeah.
something, because I will tell you 95% of them are fine. Like, not that they
Yeah.
couldn't use some tweaks and stuff, but they're
They
doing
just needed
they're
some
doing good
guidance.
stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're doing good stuff. And they're discounting everything that they're doing right because there's a couple of things that they're uncomfortable with. It's just
Hmm.
it's something that as women, and I don't know, maybe it's different in Malaysia. I don't know, no idea, but like here, women are, they think
Really?
math is scary, science,
No
women don't do
way.
science, women don't do, and it's this stuff that, and the women are saying this stuff. I'm like, okay, that I hate to tell people, my world has very little to do with math. I mean, I maybe take out my calculator once in a while
Once in a
to do
while,
something
but
with
it's,
clients.
yeah.
It's not really about math. It's about finding out what people want and helping them get there and using your
Mm.
money as a tool because money is our biggest tool to be able to get what we want.
You know, funny when you said that, I just remembered something like the I don't know, I don't want to peg this as most successful, but among the people who are successful in investments like Ray Dalio, Tony
Hmm.
Robbins, so
Yeah,
these are all men.
they
But when
are.
you said that women have very little presentation in the financial world in the
Yeah,
US, that just shows like, whoa,
yeah,
is it correct to term patriarchy
it
in
is. I
in
think
terms of
so. Yeah.
really? Oh
Because
my God, I am.
You've got Susie Orman, and I'm not going to
Yeah,
discredit
yeah,
her.
Susie Urban.
She's
Yeah, yeah.
great.
Oh yeah, my
She's got
mother
a very
loved watching
masculine
her.
energy, though.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But that's the
She's got
thing.
a very
But that's
masculine energy.
exactly. But the thing, Lisa, it's like you cannot step into your feminine energy and just be strong in your financial, how do I say, sense
Hmm.
in the US because I think it's very male dominated and
It
then it's
is.
very brutal.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to
We
change
need,
that. So,
yeah, we need more people like you.
yeah.
Hashtag.
Yeah, I'm trying to change that
You can't
exactly
be
because
soft, yeah,
yeah, you can be soft and feminine and
and
listen
but
and have empathy and
exactly,
cry with clients and
yes,
still do a good
get
job
your
and
things
still know
sorted, yeah,
finance.
yeah,
And the
and
problem
still
with our
make, yeah.
industry right now is that there are some women who are coming out with some money books, but I'm not discounting this. I do money mindset stuff all the time with clients because it's important. It's an important part of it. But their money mindset, they're about budgeting. They're all about very like low level
Very
finance
small
stuff.
scale, like
Yeah,
yeah,
small
low level.
scale.
No, we don't want that. We want like okay,
How do we
how do we
grow?
do projects? Yeah, how do we grow? How do we automate? How do we make money work for us in
Yes.
a feminine way? I don't know what's the better term,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
yeah,
I totally agree
right.
with you. Yeah, I
Oh
think
my God.
it's one of those things that is very masculine. It is
Like that.
very it just I don't know why it's gone that direction when to me and I've heard this from other people, money actually has a very feminine um energy about it or quality, but that's not I don't know why we look because I think people associate money with business, a business and
Mm.
we usually what do we think of when we think of a successful business? A guy in a suit, usually a white guy, in a suit who
Mm-hmm.
like is, making deals and on his cell phone. Like, I mean, that's what we think of when we think of a successful business owner. And that's ridiculous because more and more women are becoming business owners. And we shouldn't have
Yes,
to take on a male energy that is not us, that's not
that's
authentic
so
to
true.
us to run a
Yep.
business. And that was probably, it's kind of funny. Full circle from the beginning of our conversation. That's kind of the hardest part that I had to overcome was when I first started, I started taking on a persona of like, this is what a financial advisor does. Like, you have to act this way and you have to wear a suit and you have to, talk a certain way and you can't just be yourself and you can't, And so essentially I tried to play the role that didn't fit. And honestly, clients could tell. I really think that clients could tell that there was problems and that I wasn't being authentic. And once
Mm-hmm.
I started to just, my husband actually sat down with me and he was talking to me about something. He's like, just be yourself. I don't understand why you're so afraid to be yourself. And
Mm.
slowly but surely, I just started to be more comfortable in my own skin and realizing that I didn't need to pretend to be somebody else. I'm a, jeans and t-shirt girl. I don't wear like
Yeah.
suits and I don't do that stuff. That's just not the way I am. My business partner isn't that way either. Um, and we just don't fit in that mold, and that's okay. It's okay to not fit in that mold. And we're both very different people, but we believe in the same thing, which is taking care of clients and making sure clients are comfortable and they're in the things that fit with what they're trying to do and that we're able to work with them and be flexible because life is flexible and things change.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah. Life is not
that's the
rigid.
big thing. No, it's not,
Yeah.
especially now. And
Especially
like I
now.
said,
Exactly.
there's not that, hey, I'm 40 years old, I'm going to do retirement planning and I'm just going to keep working and saving and putting my money away. And then 65, I'm
Mm,
retired and I'm done. Like nobody lives like that anymore. And you can't be in that world. And I really, I've never told anybody this, Nick, but I'll tell you this. My mission is to get 1 million women to financial independence any way I can because we don't have anybody to follow for that, you know?
so true. Yes.
It's just so difficult. And all we're asking is give us some strategies that I can put in place, keep an eye on, but don't have to be obsessed with getting into finance.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing. And also women don't want to necessarily not participate in their financial world. They want to participate, but they want a guide and they want
Yeah.
somebody to help them.
And they want
And
it to be easy and maybe tailored to
yeah,
their their softer nature. Like
yes,
I don't want to get into
exactly.
like, you go to, I don't know, to an advisor who's like, oh, this, you put in that this much premium. This is the percentage you're gonna get
Yeah.
after X years, blah blah blah. And of course, people will recluse, and then they're like, this is so difficult. I don't think I can. No,
Yeah.
you handle it. And then again, we women give power to the
Yes.
man to like again. So the cycle never ends. And
Exactly.
wow, but
Yeah.
as long as I think we are realizing this, people words are about this are already getting out there, and I really love what you're doing, and
Thank
I
you.
think you're a really good fit for my podcast, and
Thank you.
I
I'm
really
so
think we
excited
have
to have been on here.
a, I really think we could do something. Like I'm getting this some energy from you. Like, yeah,
Love
who
it.
knows, right?
Yeah.
Maybe I would visit US one day, and then we can
Yeah.
set up
You let me know.
like a mastermind or something, like an event, and then have you speak, and other we can
Yeah.
pool certain speakers and really
Yeah.
start
I
something.
love it. I think that would be great. I would be totally in to
Okay,
exploring that. I think that would be great.
right. So, where is the best place to save?
To save, I'm going to give the answer that everybody hates, but it just depends. It depends on where you are and it depends on what you're trying to accomplish. So, I would say if you're trying to save
Valid. Yeah.
for the future and can qualify, a Roth might be a really good option. But
Roth.
if you're trying to
Right. Roth.
save for like shorter term goals, like
Yeah.
for a a trip or something like that, it might be a high yield savings account. I think the biggest thing that I could stress though is that we as a society don't save enough money and put it just sitting in a bank account someplace. Well, I would say
Something.
high yield
Yeah.
savings account, but something boring. Because my point is
Mm.
that, we all, it doesn't matter if you're making $200,000 a year or $20,000 a year. There are a lot of people living paycheck to paycheck because they have no
Yeah.
money saved. So that
Yeah.
$2,000 tire change is a huge stressor on somebody who's making, 400 grand a year, just as much as
That's
the person
true.
that's making 30 grand a year, because nobody's saving any money and they're just putting it on their credit card and trying to figure out how they're going to pay for it.
Yeah.
And I would say that middle class is really hurting from this. People are making like 80 to 150, 200,000, which I know sounds ridiculous that that's still middle class, but everything's so expensive nowadays. It
Yeah.
really is.
Yeah.
And so if you don't have money saved in an emergency fund, as boring and as annoying as everybody thinks that is, you are still living paycheck to paycheck. As soon as you get your emergency fund filled, which is at least 3 months of expenses in there, you're free. You are not living paycheck to paycheck anymore. So I would say that's the biggest thing to focus on if you're just kind of getting started is build that emergency fund up because that provides a start to financial freedom.
And it sets your mindset up for success.
Yeah.
Like, oh,
Yeah.
I have something in my bank account, so I am not a loser for not saving money to start
Exactly.
with.
Yeah, no, totally. I
Yeah.
totally agree
Yeah.
with that. Yeah.
I mean, I had that notion before in my
I have
head. Yeah.
too.
So I'm
Yeah,
being
I have
I'm
too.
being very candid right now. So, okay, so how does someone put together a plan? Like, how does someone, or how would you help
Yeah.
put together a plan?
I would start with finding your why. which
Right.
means finding what you want. So putting together a bucket list plan. I start with clients on that. I start with that, and I start
Mm,
putting together values. Once you know your core values and once you have a bucket list plan in place, you can choose one thing to start working on your bucket list. You can put together a strategy, and then you build that into your bigger plan. So,
right.
you build your saving strategy. Some of it's going into your bucket list, but some of it's going into other buckets to set you up for future bucket list items, retirement, financial freedom, whatever else is coming way down the line. But you need that beginning step because you've got to get
Hmm.
excited. You've got to get excited about saving for something. Saving is not exciting if there's nothing attached to it.
Oh
Just
yeah.
like, because, we're not good at taking care of ourselves. So, nobody goes, yay, I'm saving for me. Like, it's not the way it
Yeah,
works.
it doesn't work. Yeah. We
Yeah,
have
it
to,
doesn't. Because we're
it
like,
has to
oh, it's
be
fine.
external to us. Yeah.
It does.
I
So if
can,
you if
yeah.
you really wanted to go to Bali, let's say, and that's your thing, you can get excited about. I mean, you can build a lot of like visual getting a number. Like you can get really into that, and that can get you motivated to do something. And it is self-care, but you don't think of it as self-care. You think of I'm going to take my kids or I'm going to take my husband or I'm going to take, we're going to go to Bali, and it becomes bigger than you. And so
Oh my
therefore
God.
that's
Yeah.
where you
I
start
just
and then
become
you
first
build it in your
circle.
bigger things. Yeah, exactly.
I just thought about it. It's like, you see, at the end of the day, even though we are trying to do something for us, again, the human nature is like we just always in the, I don't know, how do I say, not mindset, or in the, our nature is just to serve, like for something other than ourselves, like
It
outside, like
is.
it's not as exciting as saving for my like for a car or a house than to buy something for your partner or your spouse. Like,
Yeah,
I don't know, do you get that? Like,
I
it's like
do.
it's the emotion, the feeling, like, oh, this person, he or she will love what I'm gonna buy. Like, I cannot
Yeah.
wait to see that reaction. Like, other than,
Yeah.
yeah, I know I want that, and okay, I so what?
It's true. It's true. Well, I don't know. I'm finding that more and more women, their one, I mean, their big bucket list or their big mission is to retire their husband.
Oh,
That
that
is
is,
their, or their partner, but for a
wow.
lot of them, it's been their husband that I've been talking to. They want their husband to have the
Really?
freedom to do what he wants to do. Like he's unhappy at work. He's doing, all this stuff, and that's their mission is to retire him. And
Wow.
that I can see that it's a bigger thing than you. And a lot of them feel like,
Hmm.
my husband started it and he's gotten us going and he's done everything and he's worked really hard. I'm going to finish.
I want to finish it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Oh,
going to finish.
that's
Yeah.
teamwork.
It's
We
it's
can go on and
wonderful.
on about all
It's
of this. Yeah.
nice. Yeah, it's
It's
not, I mean,
nice.
in this
Yeah.
world where everybody's talking about how many divorces and how nobody can stay together, it's so
Yes.
nice to see that women want to be that strong powerhouse for their guys. And I think it's great. I really do. I think it changes the dynamic of the marriage
Mm.
or of the partnership.
Yeah. The perspective, even.
Yeah.
Ooh. Okay. So, what is financial perfectionism?
So financial perfectionism is we kind of already addressed this a
Oh,
little
okay.
bit, but basically
Okay.
what it is people not taking action because they're afraid they're not going to do it right.
Right. Okay.
That's what it is. So, they're afraid that they're going to fail. They're afraid that they're not going to hit their savings goal every month, or they don't hit it for a couple of months and then they say, "See, I knew this wasn't going to work." And they stop. It's kind of a dysmorphia effect. We think that everybody else is doing much better than us.
Oh,
Everybody
yeah, yeah.
else's financial picture is better than ours is. And realistically, they're just as
Yeah.
bad, if not as bad,
Yeah,
and worse than
exactly.
you.
Everybody's fighting their own battles.
It is. Yeah. They have the same insecurities. You're better in some areas and they're better in other areas. We always think there's a new kind of thing out there, which I don't disagree with it, but I think it needs to be tempered, which is I'll just make more money. If I just make more money, all my problems are going to go
Will
away.
go. Yeah.
I can do, and yeah, I mean, you do want to make more money because that keeps you motivated and going and stuff. But at the same time, just making more money and having no plan of what to do with it or how it's going to work or anything like that. Look at lottery winners. I mean, like 70% of them are bankrupt within a couple of years after winning a huge lottery because they had zero plan of how to do it. And they don't know how to grow their money and they don't know how to have their money make money for them. They don't know any of that stuff. And
They
so
never
yeah, it's about putting a strategy in place and being okay with taking imperfect action.
just start, right?
Just
Basically,
start.
just start.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is your question, one of your questions as well. Is saving in your 401k enough?
Yeah, no, it's not most of the time.
It's
It
not, we
depends.
all know it's
Yeah, it's not. And people say, well, and I often will talk people into, like I was just talking to another client and her goals don't align with what the 401k is. So the 401k, for, those who don't know is basically employer sponsored retirement plans where we put money into, and they have a 59 and a half rule associated with it. And
not.
meaning
Sorry,
that
15,
before
59.
59 and a half age. Yeah. Which is ridiculous. I'm
Oh,
like the
okay,
half.
59
I
and
mean,
a
it's
half.
weird.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
59 and a half. And so basically you have to be over 59 and a half to get your money out without paying
right.
penalties. And that doesn't fit for a lot of people anymore. I work with a lot of women who are trying to get financial independence at 50, 55. That doesn't work for them. And so should you put all of your money in your 401k in that situation? Maybe not. That might not be the right place to put it because you don't have access to it for, 5 to 9 years in that scenario, right? And
Mm.
so where are you going to live? How are you going to live off of anything if you can't take money out of it? So we're kind of told just max out your 401k and you'll be fine. And that's not necessarily true. And so that's kind of where I go with that is let's look and see if it's the right vehicle to be putting all your money in because sometimes it's not.
Sorry. So how does 401k work in the US actually?
Yeah. So basically it built out through the company. The company puts it in place and you have your own account. And then you
Right.
can put money in.
Like
Um
if I'm an employee, I could also
yeah.
contribute that 401k.
Yes, you
So
contribute.
this
Yeah. So
right. So the employer
yeah.
matches the contribution.
Yeah, they can do that too. So right now in 2023, the maximum somebody under the age of 50 can put in is 22,500. There's catch up and other things that you can do after the age of 50, but that's the amount that you can put in as an
Twenty-two thousand
employee.
five hundred.
Oh, 22,500. So
22.
$22,000 500. Yeah, is the max you can put into it.
Huh? That's not a lot.
It's not.
I
It's not very
I thought
much.
I thought it's 401k. It's like you need that. That's the minimum that the government is asking people to strive towards saving
No.
for your retirement, like 401k thousand. When I looked at it, I was like, oh, that's not pretty. That's not bad.
Yeah.
Actually, the
I
U.S.
actually don't know where
government.
the 401k. I don't know
You
the
know,
name. I don't know where. Now you've
yeah.
made
I
me
mean,
curious. I'll have to go find
logically,
out. Yeah, that makes sense.
yeah.
No, I
Oh,
mean, really, you have to save probably a couple $1 million in those kind of things, depending on the lifestyle you're trying to live. Which is hard because there's, fees in there that you don't know about. You don't not quite sure how much you're paying in fees. The funds in there are sometimes limited of what you can choose and can be expensive. And a lot of people, I just did a video, hopefully will be going up pretty soon on 401k etiquette on our YouTube channel, and people are welcome to look at it, but just kind of common best practices for it. And one of them is you kind of have to keep watching and seeing what you're paying in fees, because if
oh
you
my
don't know
God.
what you're
That's
paying,
so
it can
yeah.
it
That's so
can be
stressful.
bad. Yeah. And then you invest and you're not sure if that's the right investment because you maybe have like 10 choices of what you can invest in. It's a good, if you are somebody that knows that you are not going to be able to save on your own, it's a great vehicle because it comes right out of your paycheck and it goes into
Right.
something. But
Like
if
your
you
discipline, they make
have,
you discipline.
yeah, yeah, and also if they're providing a match, typically rule of thumb is that you want to at least go up to the match so that you're getting the match, right? But that's not really true for a lot of people. I mean, it doesn't work for my family. We don't participate in 401ks. It doesn't work for what we're trying to accomplish. And so, it just depends on the situation. But everybody just assumes if I'm putting in my 401k, I'm set. And I
I'm
really
gonna,
want to
yeah.
debunk that. Yeah.
Mm, okay. Yeah, but the name, like, I really thought that, oh, the government
That's very interesting.
urges urges all American citizens to at least have 401k thousand in their account. I mean, well, perfect. I was like, oh, maybe Malaysia should look at.
I don't
Now
know
I
where that name came
know.
from, but now I'm going to look it up because I'm curious. I have no idea where the 401 part came into play.
Hmm. Okay. Well, okay. Thank you for that, Lisa.
Yeah,
So right. So I think we're gonna come to a few more questions before we wrap up
sure.
the episode. So okay. I normally ask one questions on self worth, self discovery, and something related with
Yeah.
existentialism matter. So this question is for you. So is self worth a constant state, or can it fluctuate over time? Now, how can individuals navigate these fluctuations and maintain a positive sense of self?
Oh, that's a great question. I'm not an expert in this. I can only go off of my
Oh, yeah.
experience and what I do,
Yeah.
but I would say self-worth is fluctuating. Some days you feel like you're worthy and some days you don't. And it's funny how often I talk about a lot about diets and stuff just because I'm always trying to trying to lose a little weight.
Oh, okay.
And
I mean, we
like
all
every
are.
woman
Me
out there,
too.
right? Exactly. And so, but it's funny because we go, okay, I'm going to really watch what I'm going to eat all day. I'm going to, eat salad. I'm going to do, whatever, do my exercise, all that stuff. And then we go to dinner and we, just pig out and totally lose mindfulness. And and you look at the plate of pasta and you're like, oh, it's all gone. Like, what happened? You
Yeah.
know? And so I think that that's definitely a fluctuation of self worth, right? Because when you're taking care, you're drinking green juice, you're doing your
Yeah.
stuff, you're like, I'm worthy, I'm
I'm
taking care,
out there,
I
right?
respect my body,
Yeah.
and then you just like have a glass of wine and then it all goes out the window. And so I do think that there is this like fluctuation of self worth. And how do we get it to be a little bit more steady? How do we get it to be a little bit more constant so that, when you have a glass of wine, your inhibitions are down, you're still partly there going, okay, am I full? Am
I'm
I,
letting
is
go a
this,
little bit, but
I'm
I'm not.
letting
Yeah.
exactly
I'm
being
not letting go.
relaxed
Yeah.
in your self worth, that kind of thing. Cause I think it can be dangerous to, I know us women, especially, powerful women that do very well, in their careers or their work or whatever, we are very like, this is the rule and this is what I'm going to do and I'm going to crush it. Like I'm going to do, but instead of just having a little like kindness to ourselves and going, I didn't
Yeah.
hit it today. I'm good,
Yeah.
but I did this and this right. And so I'm going to do this and this and this tomorrow, right? Like baby step our way into it. I really think if we just kind of gave ourselves a little bit more grace and going, it didn't happen today, tomorrow it's going to happen. And just start, patting ourselves on the back for the things that we do right and what works, and then just trying to keep doing that. And that's really going to help with your self worth because really it is all about, am I respecting myself? And a lot of us times we're not respecting ourselves at all by what we put in our bodies, by, lack of exercise, by watching TV all day, whatever. Is that really respectful of you? Probably not, and we do that with our money too. We spend money on all these other people
Mm,
and we won't spend it on ourselves. Like so many women I talk to, their last trips are to go visit family. That's fine, but that's not a vacation,
yeah.
So, we just have to start respecting I think if you respect yourself more and just kind of remind yourself that the self-worth part will definitely work into play.
So, what's your heart's greatest wish?
Mm, I think I would like more people to become more self-reliant when it comes and realize that they're strong enough to do it when it comes to their money and their lives. So what I mean by that is that nobody's going to come in and save you. There's no Prince Charming that's going to come up and give you $1 million and say you're set, And so I think if we could just start to realize that it's not all or nothing. It's not, YOLO or, just
Or like
it's not these
just
extremes.
yeah, just be frugal all the way.
Yeah. And just start having more joy. I think that's the other thing that I have found. Like, every day, I try to be more joyful and just kind of have an energy of like joyfulness and happiness. And, and I think that if we could start to do that more as a world, then things would be better, right? I mean, everybody, you walk into the office and everybody's like, hi,
Yeah.
and people are super excited because it's Friday. I'm like, wow, you really did not enjoy this week, obviously.
Yeah.
Like, we don't take enough time for gratitude and for joy of what's actually good in our lives. And I think if more people would do that, we would start like a ball rolling that we couldn't stop of momentum of getting everything we want. Because if we would just appreciate what we've already got and how we got it and pat ourselves on the back once in a while, I think it would be much better. So to me, I would want people to be a little bit more aware of what's positive in the world and in their lives and what they're doing right. And I think that that would help a lot of people take more control over their money, take more control over their lives, that kind of thing.
Yay. So do you have a mantra that you live by?
We do. So my husband and I are country music people. We love
Ooh.
country music. And one of his favorite artists is Kenny Chesney. Hopefully someday he
Okay.
hears this, but anyhow.
Right.
And Kenny Chesney has this song that says, "Who lives life like we do?" And the whole audience goes, "We do." And so
Right.
that's our motto, is that we live life how we do. And we don't apologize to anybody for anything that we choose to do different and live outside that little stereotypical box we're supposed to be in. And we do that all the time. I mean, one way we're child free. We don't have kids. We chose not to. And that's bucking what we're supposed to do. And I get asked all the time, "Don't you want kids?" And I go, "No, I don't." And I'm
Yeah.
okay with it.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. Yeah.
And and I work a lot with women who don't have kids because they know that I kind of know what they're going through. But it's so we live life like we do.
Beautiful. So, well, I'm gonna ask this since we've already asked a question about this. Do you have something that keeps you up at night, or do you sleep well?
Uh, I sleep well. I probably because I've learned how to do some breath work and stuff and get my mind out of work. I sleep well, but at the same time, there are things that, I always am a little worried about. I I haven't said this to anybody. I am kind of worried about our country as a whole in terms of personal finance. I really think that people
Ooh,
aren't
yeah.
aren't taking care of themselves, and it can be catastrophic, and it does kind of
Aren't
scare me a little bit.
savvy enough, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
it does scare me a little bit. We have so many people who are pushing it aside and saying, "I'll do it later," or "It'll just take care of itself." And it scares me a little bit. It scares me in the future of not just the country, but and I'm going to be selfish for our well-being. We're trying to do the right thing, and my clients are trying to do the right thing, and I want to make sure everybody's trying to hold their end of the bargain up because we don't operate well without that. So I think that that's probably my biggest like big thing that's holding me up at night. But personally, we go through things, but like I said, if I try to just stay in that world of gratitude, I try to that other stuff will work itself out, you know.
right. So, okay, we've come to the last question. So, if you could create a quote right now for you to leave to the audience listening and the world as your legacy, what would it be?
That is a hard one.
That's
What would it
funny.
be? I would say I mean, our motto, and I guess this is what I created, was your vision, your vision, your way. That's kind of my motto, is that we're here as a financial firm to help clients create their vision what their vision is, not what we think it should be, what they actually want. That's why we called it One Vision. It's the client's vision.
Yeah.
And it's and helping them create this amazing life their way, because it's not cookie cutter. It's not, everybody should do this or everybody should do that. It's based on what works for them when it comes to risk, when it comes to, liquidity, when it comes to lots of other areas. It's got to work for them. So I think it's your vision, your way.
I think that's perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, Lisa, thank you so much for your time. I really
Thank
appreciate it. I
you.
really enjoyed our
Absolutely.
conversation. It's like talking to a friend.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. This was a lot of fun. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Um, do you have Instagram somehow?
Yes.
I
Yeah,
would
it's
like to.
your financial vision your way is what it is. So,
Oh, okay. Your financial vision, your way. Okay, maybe you can
yeah.
drop me
Yeah,
a
I
text
will give it to
message
you.
later.
Hmm.
Okay, so I will snip some of the snippets, clips from this interview, and I will tag you once it
Yeah,
airs.
oh great. Excellent.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. That sounds great. Thank you so much for having me, and I really appreciate it. It was a really fun chat.
Yeah, likewise. So I'll connect it to you. I'll connect with you on Instagram, so we'll keep in touch.
Yeah, sounds great. Thank you so much. Have a great rest of your evening.
Yeah, you too. Have a great day.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.